Hello and welcome to another Advent Daily Devotion with Pastor Andrew. That's me. I flipped my camera, so now I'm going to be looking over here when it's really over here. Anyway, the 20th, 5 more days, and it is Christmas. 4 more days, and it is Christmas Eve. The weekend is over. A new week has started. Things are happening all around the world, and everything is still all up in the air. But on top of that, all of it coming together, we have one of these wonderful depictions of Christ that we would probably see on, I would say, a European Catholic church. Here we have Jesus, right? And our verses today, Luke 1:76-77. And you, child, will be called the prophet of the Most High, for you will go before the Lord to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation to his people by the forgiveness of their sins. For us to ponder, a quote from Rachel Held Evans, Searching for Sunday. We are people who stand totally exposed before evil and death and declare them powerless against love. Yes. What a powerful quote. We are people who stand totally exposed before evil and death and declare them powerless against love. Yes. God's love conquers all. Death, right? Evil, right? All of these things. Christ comes. Powerful, powerful stuff. Our theme today, job description. The author writes, I recently had the great joy of baptizing a baby boy. Using the words of the liturgy, I reminded the baby's parents of the responsibilities they were taking on so that their child would learn to trust God, proclaim Christ through word and deed, care for others and the world God made, and work for justice and peace. At that moment, as if on cue, the baby yawned. Yes. I wonder if baby John yawned too when Zechariah shared John's particular tasks. Go before the Lord to prepare God's ways. Tell people about God's forgiveness and the gift of salvation. Can't you just imagine that newborn baby stretching his chubby arms to the heavens and opening his mouth in a wide yawn, as if to say, really? I'm just tired thinking about it. John's job description is overwhelming. Our job description is overwhelming. But we don't do the work alone. The God who calls us also equips us, freeing us, by way of forgiveness, to use the gifts we've been given. John is to help God's people know that they're saved, but they won't know it if they're only called out for their bad behavior or taken on a guilt trip. Yes, oh my goodness, I don't plan these things. This devotion says it 2 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. I said it in a sermon. We don't want to hear about all that, right? We need to, but that isn't the whole picture, right? Yes. They know they're saved. They'll know they're loved. How? By the forgiveness of their sins. This is how we proclaim Christ, how we care for the world, how we work for justice and peace. Forgiven by God, we extend that same forgiveness to others. And together, forgiven and freed, our overwhelmed yawns turn to songs of joyful praise. Yeah. It really doesn't go into our job description too much. I mean, maybe there at the end, but it's always interesting, and it's why I think it's so important that every year we have during Advent these texts about John the Baptist. Every year we're like, oh, this one again, or oh, yeah, I remember this, or Well, this is just, in a sense, par for the course of Advent, to hear about John the Baptist, right? Prepare the way of the Lord, make your paths straight, the Messiah is coming. It can seem so repetitive, but I think it needs to be. It needs to be, because why? Because we need to realize just how grand, right, this gift of Christ is. I mean, that quote, because of what Christ does, we can stand totally exposed, vulnerable beyond belief. We can stand, I hear exposed and I think naked, right? Because that's when we're vulnerable. There we are, right? We are completely out there. And being in that state, I don't know about you, but I'm both exposed, but I'm both, I don't even know how to describe it. That's why I'm stumbling over my words here. Because I don't like it, yet at the same time, there's this bit of being comfortable and being okay with it, with just being that vulnerability and that being exposed like that. I'm trying to get away from the word naked, because I think there's too much attached to that. But it just, that in itself draws back to Genesis and just the innocence there, right? Of Adam and Eve and paradise. And if we truly believe what Christ has come here to do and does, the gates to paradise are open again. As post-resurrection people, as post-resurrection Christians, post-resurrection people, children of God now via Christ, all of us, those gates to paradise are open once again. That innocence, that love, that vulnerability is there, but it's not something we need to concern ourselves with. I hope that makes sense. Because if we believe all this to be true, and that is our job, to not only realize it, but then now live into it and share it, whatever form that may take, we can totally stand there exposed before evil, before death, before the bad, trials, tribulations, etc. And we know down to our core that we can loudly proclaim, declare, all of it powerless against the gift of love that God gives. I hope that makes sense. Let's close in prayer. Forgiving God, there are days when we feel stuck in judgment and resentment, frozen in shame and guilt. Thaw our hearts and minds with your abiding forgiveness. Amen. Big things as we start this Christmas week. I thank you for watching this, taking a little bit of it in, thinking whether, I don't know if Pastor was on mark or not, but just some things to consider. Until tomorrow, God bless. Bonus. So I was looking at this picture, and that's not Jesus, right? That's John. Okay, till tomorrow.